Hello again and welcome to the I Hit Drums, a beginner's guide podcast. I'm Mark and I'll be your teacher for this series. Today we're going to begin looking at lesson 1 in the book, which starts on page 7. This lesson includes understanding bars, using a metronome, note values, single sticking exercises, and adding the feet. We're not going to be working through all of those things in this episode, so for now, we're going to leave out adding the feet. We'll be looking at that in the next episode. Let's get started with understanding bars. When music is put into the written form, it's broken down into smaller chunks known as bars or measures. Think of notes a bit like letters, and bars a bit more like words. If you look at the first image on page 7, you'll see 4 bars. Each of these bars is separated by a vertical line. These lines are a bit like the spaces in between words. It just helps you understand each word a bit more easily. But in music, you wouldn't leave a space there. Each bar should flow smoothly from one into the next. The second image on page 7 is a single bar, and at either end of the bar you'll see a thick line, a thin line, and 2 dots. These markers at each end of the bar are repeat markers. When reading music, anything between these markers is played again, and that could be 1 bar or several bars. So if there are any notes in this bar, you would play it once, go back to the start of the bar, play it again, and then move on. There are many short or single bar exercises within this book where you will see those repeat symbols at either end of the exercise. So take the time to repeat these exercises to really make sure you understand them. Using a metronome. As mentioned previously, this book comes with a lot of supporting audio, the link to which can be found on page 1. Sometimes, however, you may wish to practice some of these exercises with a metronome. Simply put, a metronome provides a steady click like this at a consistent speed. If you've ever heard of a musician not playing in time, then that usually means that they're speeding up or they're slowing down. As a drummer, your main role within the band is to keep good time. The more you practice with a metronome, the easier this will be, as your own internal sense of time will get stronger. A metronome speed of 60 BPM means 60 beats per minute. That's the equivalent of the second hand moving on a clock. So a metronome speed of 120 BPM would be twice as fast. When working with a new exercise or song from the book, I recommend starting at 40 BPM. For some exercises, this may feel awfully slow, but for others, not so much. But it's important that you take your time and develop the muscle memory needed in order to play the exercises accurately at faster tempos. Try not be in a hurry to reach those fast speeds too soon. It will only cause you frustration. There are many free metronome apps available, but if you go on Google, type metronome into the search box, one will appear. Whatever metronome speed you select, traditionally this means that there will be 4 clicks to each bar. But what does that mean? It means 4 beats to a bar. Most modern music, be that pop, rock, reggae, jazz, is written in what we call 4/4 time. To simplify that means 4 beats per bar. And when you put on a metronome at 60 BPM, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each count of 1, 2, 3, 4 represents a single bar. That might still seem a little bit confusing at this stage, but as we work through the following exercises, it will start to make more sense. Remember, whenever you practice, you're working on several things at once. But if you're playing along to a metronome, then you're always working on your time. There's no need to make that a separate exercise. Note values. On page 8 of the book, you will see 5 different notes in the first image. The crotchet, quaver, and semiquaver are the 3 notes that we'll be working with the most within this book. Semibreves and minims are more likely to appear in music for a melodic instrument such as a piano, trumpet, cello, etc. This is because drums themselves don't have a lot of sustain to them. There's no note length. When you hit a drum, it goes pop. When you press a piano key, however, you can hold that note for as long as the note suggests. So in drum notation, try think of the note as an indicator of when you can play, and also how long you have before the next note can happen. Crotchets, which you'll find on page 9, are the first notes that we'll be using to play along to. In drumming, crotchets are more commonly known as quarter notes, each crotchet representing a quarter of a bar. When you're working with the same kind of note again and again, like we have here, each note lasts the same amount of time as the other. A good example of this would be the opening to Bar Bar Black Sheep. Bar Bar Black Sheep. All of those notes last the same amount of time, which means that when playing consecutive quarter notes, there shouldn't be any speeding up or slowing down. So let's get started. Using the supporting audio, let's try exercise 1.1 at 40 BPM. Throughout the exercise, you will hear a high beep and a low beep. These beeps represent which hand is to be played. For the right hand, there's a high beep, and for the left hand, there's a low beep. In this first exercise, we'll be going from the right to the left to the right to the left. And as we're playing quarter notes, each of those hits should land with one of the number counts. One final thing to aim for with these exercises is to try and get each stick hit to sound the same. As well as playing in a steady rhythm, we also want to play at a steady volume. If you're a left-handed player, play this exercise starting with the left hand and then moving on to the right. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep working on that exercise using the supporting audio that comes with the book. Now let's move on to page 10 in the book and take a look at eighth notes, also known as quavers. We call these eighth notes within drum music because we can fit 8 of them into a bar. This means that we have to count slightly differently. For every quarter note that we had in exercise 1.1, we can actually fit 2 eighth notes into the same space. So where we previously counted 1, 2, 3, 4 for the quarter notes, we now need to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for the eighth notes. It's worth stressing at this point that we're not actually going to increase the speed. We're still going to play this exercise at 40 BPM. Only now that we're fitting more notes into the same space, the hit rate is going to be faster. If we think of the next line of Bar Bar Black Sheep, have you any? Those notes would be eighth notes. We're still singing the song at the same speed, only now that we have smaller note values, we can move on to the next note sooner. Let's try exercise 1.2. We're going to try this at 40 BPM as before, but now that we're dealing with eighth notes and we can fit more notes into the same space, you'll hear the high and low beeps at much more regular intervals. Ready? Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Once again, make sure you practice exercise 1.2 using the supporting audio. But now to round off this episode, let's turn to page 11 and look at 16th notes, more commonly known as semiquavers. Going back to quarter notes for a second. Within the same space of one quarter note, we can fit 2 eighth notes. When it comes to 16th notes, we can actually fit 4 16th notes into the same space as 1 quarter note. This again means we need to change how we count. For quarter notes, we counted 1, 2, 3, 4. For eighth notes, we counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for 16th notes, we're going to count 1 E and A, and then the next number, which gives us 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 16th notes is where things start to get quite fast for the hands. So if we'd started these exercises at a higher speed, you might find that you struggle when it comes to 16th notes. Over time, however, you'll get more used to these higher speeds and your hands will adapt. So let's try exercise 1.3. You'll hear the familiar beep tones, but now that we're dealing with 16th notes, you're going to hear those a lot more frequently. Ready? Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I hope the previous 3 exercises have helped you get a good understanding of different note values and that you're already finding that your hands are getting used to those different rates. If, however, you don't feel there's enough challenge there, then try them at 60 BPM. If you would like some feedback on these exercises, you can get in touch with me on Instagram at @IHitDrums or on Facebook by going to facebook.com/IHitDrumsUK. I offer feedback lessons whereby you send me a video of you playing the exercises and then I respond with a video back. There's a small fee for this service which offers a flexible alternative to traditional lessons. Thanks for listening today. In the next episode, we're going to start combining these exercises and also start adding the feet. Until then, enjoy. I Hit Drums, a beginner's guide, can be purchased through Amazon as a paperback or as an ebook through Amazon, iTunes and Kobo. Just search for I Hit Drums, a beginner's guide.